Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we will work the Pride blouse. I'm working in this tutorial size small, but I will give you the numbers for size extra small and medium as well, because the increasing pattern is the same. Here we have the sketch. In the right side you can see the actual piece, how it will look after we will finish, and in the left side is the one after assembling. So basically we will follow the shape into the right side, and this is what we will need to work. On my website you can find the written pattern for all the sizes up to 5 extra large, and if you want to purchase the PDF pattern you can also see the crochet charts with the increasing pattern, across the armhole, and everything you will need to make this blouse. So I will give you the numbers for sizes small, extra small and medium. I'm working the size small in the tutorial, and just because these three sizes have the same increase pattern for the entire piece. The other sizes I needed to change a bit just to have a bigger width but shorter length, because you know plus sizes doesn't get bigger into the length but only into the width, or not that much. So this is the yarn that I'm using is Pride from Wool Addicts. That's why I call this blouse Pride. This is a mix of linen, viscose and cotton, and the recommended crochet hook is 3.5 millimeter to 4 millimeter. We will use a 4 millimeter for the blouse, but we will also use a 4.5 millimeter for the edging, because it's worked in slip stitches, and I wanted to make sure that I will not have a curly edge or getting to shrink. So this will be the pattern. I have a swatch here, and I do recommend to make a swatch gauge to see if your tension matches mine, so you could follow the same stitch count. So we will have a 7-row repeat with a simple mesh stitch and double crochet stitches. So to begin with, because these pieces work bottom up, so we will start with the number of stitches that we need to start at the bottom. And I will have in total 77 stitches because I'm working the size small, but you will see right away which are the numbers for size extra small and medium. If you want to adjust the pattern, make sure that you'll have a multiple of 3 plus 1 stitches at the end of the first row, because this will be the number of stitches that you will need for the mesh stitch. Now for the first row we will work a row in single crochet. It will be our base row, so it doesn't count in our pattern repeat, only will be the first row. If you want, you can start with foundation single crochet if you find it easier. So at the end of the first row you should have 76 stitches, or 70 for size extra small, or 82 for size medium. And now we will start with chain 3 and turn, and we will start with 1 increase, so make 1 double crochet right in the first stitch, and then we will continue with 1 double crochet into each of the following stitches, and into the last stitch we will increase again. So now I am at the last stitch, or second to last. So into the last stitch, the last single crochet, we will work 2 double crochet. then chain 3 and turn, and we will repeat this row 2 more times until we will have 3 rows in double crochet. So chain 3 and turn, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the following stitches, and into the last one 2 double crochet. I finished the first 3 rows in double crochet, and now I'm about to start the mesh stitch pattern, and on the first row we will increase, so chain 5, then make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and this will be our first increase in this pattern. So this was. Now chain 4, we will skip the next 2 stitches and 1 single crochet into the next one. Chain 4, skip the next 2 stitches, 1 single crochet into the next one, and we will repeat until the end of the row, and at the end of the row we will increase again. So at the end of the row, to make the increase, we will finish first with the last space. So chain 4 and 1 single crochet into the last stitch, and then to make the increase, chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the same last stitch. And for now we finish with the increases, so now chain 1 and turn, 1 single crochet into the first stitch, chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4 chain space, and we will repeat until the end of the row. At the end of the row we just chain 4 and single crochet into the third chain, and now chain 5, go into the first 4 chain space and make 1 single crochet, then chain 4 and 1 single crochet into the next 4 chain space, and we will repeat until the end of the row. And we will finish the row with chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the last single crochet. And now we will start the last row in the mesh stitch, which will be the 4th row in mesh stitch, or the 7th row from our pattern, not counting the single crochet row. So we will start with chain 1 and turn, 1 single crochet into the first stitch, chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4 chain space, and we will repeat until the end of the row. At the end of the row we will chain 4 and single crochet into the third chain. Now we will start the double crochet row, and basically we will be the last row of our pattern repeat. So chain 3, 1 double crochet into the same stitch, and we did the first increase, then 3 double crochet into each fourth chain space except the last one. Into the last 4 chain space we will work only 2 double crochet, and then into the last single crochet work 2 double crochet. And now we will repeat from row 3, counting the first row in single crochet up to this row 9, until we will have in total up to the armpit 32 rows. If you want to have, because you will have enough space for the to overlap the back panels, but if you want this blouse to be longer, then you will have to work more rows up to the armpit. So we will repeat now R3 to R9, row 3 to row 9, until we will have 32 rows. So now we got to the armpit, and we need to split this entire piece into back panels, front panels, and armpit stitches. So for size small I will have 28 stitches for back panels, 58 stitches for front panels, and 2 stitches for the armpit. And we will start to work on the right back panel, right where our yarn is, and this will be a first row into the mesh stitch, and we will need to make an increase. So I will chain 5 and 1 single crochet into the first stitch, then chain 4, skip 2 stitches and 1 single crochet in next. So we will follow the same pattern, but this time, because we need to go across the armhole and to keep that edge straight, we will need not to increase at the end of the back panel. So we will need to keep that edge straight, but still keep increasing into the right edge. So now we will repeat the mesh stitch pattern up to the stitch marker. And I will chain 4, skip 2 stitches and 1 single crochet, and this was my last stitch. Now I will chain 5 because my previous row ended with a single crochet, and 1 single crochet into the first 4 chain space, then chain 4 and 1 single crochet into the next 4 chain space. And now we want to increase again at the end of the row, because we are done with the increases for the pattern, for this mesh stitch pattern. We will keep increasing on the next double crochet rows. and we will finish the row with one single crochet into the third chain. And now chain 5, go into the first 4 chain space and make one single crochet, chain 4, move to the next 4 chain space and one single crochet, and we will repeat until the end of the row. And we will finish the row with one single crochet into the third chain. Now chain 3 and turn. Well, you need to repeat one more time the row number 2, so keep making 4 mesh stitch pattern rows. So chain 3, 1 double crochet into the first stitch, then 1 double crochet into the 2 chain space, and then continue with 3 double crochet into each 3 chain space. So if you have 4 chain space, 3 double crochet, and into the 2 chain space we will do 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet into the 2 chain space. I will count the stitches to make sure that I have 3 plus 2 this time, because I increased with 1. And I think I will need 1 more double crochet, so finish the row with 1 double crochet into the third chain. So 1 double crochet into the 2 chain space and 1 double crochet into the third chain. And now we will chain 3 and turn, 1 double crochet into each stitch, and at the end of the row we will increase again. So we will keep increasing on the side edge of the back panel only, and across the armpit we will keep them straight without increasing. And we will work like this until we will reach the desired height for the armhole. So here at the end of the row, into the third chain, we will finish the row with 2 double crochet stitches. Now we will chain 3 and turn. We still have one more row in double crochet stitches. One double crochet into the first stitch to make the increase, and then we will continue with one double crochet up to the end of the row. So we finished 3 rows, and now we will start the second set of mesh stitch pattern, because we are starting at the edge that is the armpit. We won't increase, so we will start with one single crochet, chain 4, skip 2 stitches and one single crochet in next, and we will increase at the end of the row this time. When we first started, we increased at the beginning of the row with that chain 5 and one single crochet in the first stitch, and now we will increase at the end of the row. And basically we will repeat and keep increasing on the side edge of the back panel until we will have in total 14 rows, or 13 or 15 for the other sizes. So finish with the increase. So 4 chains, one single crochet in the last stitch, then 2 chain and 1 double crochet into the same last stitch. Now the next 3 rows in the mesh stitch pattern will be without increasing, and then we will have 3 more rows in double crochet to work with increases, and after that the right back panel will be done. So let's just continue finishing this back panel, and then we will start working on the front panel. Okay, so the right back panel it's done, and now we will start working on the front panel. I'm starting into the third stitch because like I said, there will be 2 stitches for the armpit, and I will rejoin yarn. And this front panel will be easier because we won't have increases to make. So I'm starting with one single crochet into the first stitch, then chain 4, skip the next 2 stitches and one single crochet into the next. And we will repeat the pattern with 4 rows in mesh stitch pattern and 3 rows in double crochet stitches, but we will stop when we will have 2, 3 and 4 rows for size M, because we will shape the neckline and we will work only the shoulder stitches. Now let's just finish this row with one single crochet into the last stitch, chain 5, turn, one single crochet into the next 4 chain space, chain 4, and repeat until the end of the row. At the end of the row, we will finish with chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the last stitch, Then turn one single crochet into the first stitch, chain 4, go into the next 4 chain space and one single crochet. And then we will repeat row number 2 one more time. Row number 2 from the now the front panel that we started. So chain 5 and turn and make one single crochet into the next 4 chain space, and we will repeat until the end of the row, and we will finish the row with chain 2 and one double crochet into the last stitch. After finishing the mesh stitch pattern, we will start a double crochet row with chain 3, then one double crochet into the first 2 chain space, and then 3 double crochet into each of the 4 chain spaces. And we will finish the row with one double crochet into the last 2 chain space and one double crochet into the third chain. And we will repeat, like I said, after finishing this 3 double crochet rows, one more time the mesh stitch pattern. And now for the next 3 rows we will work only into the shoulder stitches, and we will work for each size 17 stitches for the size extra small, 18 stitches for size small, and 17 stitches for size medium. The number of stitches doesn't really match what you maybe you find more accurate to increase with the bigger sizes, but you saw that only on the size medium small we have 18 stitches. The idea with these shoulders is that is up to you, depending on how wide you want your neckline to be. You can adjust the number of stitches that you're working on for the shoulders. On size medium, at some point you will need, because you will also need a mesh stitch pattern, which will be the last one, which requires a multiple of 3 plus 1. 17 is not 3 plus 1, but you can adjust that just by skipping when you're making the mesh stitch row. If you need to skip at the end 2 stitches, then you might skip more, just for you to make the pattern work. It was difficult to just match the number of stitches and with the measurements to have the exact amount of stitches needed for the pattern, but you will find a way, I'm sure about it. So now we will work only the shoulders, the 3 rows that I have for size small. For size extra smalls you will have only 2 rows, and for size medium you will have 3 rows. And after that we will work the other shoulder the same, so only for the 3 stitches. And after finishing the shoulders, here we are, we will move forward to the left back panel, the left back panel will be worked in the mirror with the right back panel. So basically we are starting at the end, and you'll see that some rows are repeating with the right back panel, but are not exactly in the same order, because we started for the right panel, we started with the increase part, with the increase side, and here we will start from the armpit. So I'm rejoining the yarn into the marked stitch, and I will start with a single crochet, chain 4 and skip 2 stitches, and work a single crochet into the next one. And we will work at the end of this row, we will need to work an increase. Remember that on the second set of mesh stitch pattern on the right back panel, it was the same because it started at the armhole. And we will work the same number of rows as for the right back panel. So we will have here on my size, I will work 14 rows, but you will have 13 and 15 if you're working size extra small or medium. So I will finish this row to make the increase with chain 4 and 1 single crochet, and then chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the same stitch. The next 3 rows will be worked without increasing. And we will just continue and working the same pattern as the right back panel, only that in the mirror. Okay, after finishing this panels, back panels and front panels, basically we are done with, if you remember the sketch, with the right side sketch. Now, before assembling, I want to work the edge over the back panels and the bottom of the blouse, because when I will assemble them, I want to have this edge assembled as well, because the back panels will overlap. So I will start with one row. So basically we will start at the end of the right panel, and we will finish the row at the end of the left panel. So now I rejoin the yarn, and we will work single crochet stitches for the first row, and we will try to work 3 single crochet into each double crochet or 3 chain side row. And if it's a single crochet row, you will need to work into the 1 single crochet into the side row. And we will continue until we will get at the end on the corners, because maybe you know that when you making corners you are working 2 3 stitches into the stitch from the corner just to make the shape of the corner. You can do that. So I will go for 2 stitches instead of 3 because I don't want a square corner. Now after finishing one row in single crochet, I'm switching the crochet hook into the 4.5 millimeter crochet hook size, and I will start working slip stitches into the back loop only. As I said at the beginning, slip stitches, your tension in slip stitches tend to be smaller than in single crochet. So if you want to work slip stitches with the same hook size, you might have your edge will be smaller and won't look that nice. I tried different types working 2 stitches, but the better is to have a bigger crochet hook with one size and everything will be okay. And we will work the entire row in slip stitches into the back loop only, and we will repeat this row until you have the edge as thick, as wider as you want. I work in total 12 rows. So if you count those V rows, you will have 6 in total if you're working 12, because this V row is formed after working 2 rows in slip stitches in back loop only. So work as many rows as you wish until you have that edge as nice as you like, as thick as you like. And after finishing this edging, we will continue next with the second step, or the next step. I don't know how many steps we had with the blouse, and which will be assembling. Okay, so I finished the edging, like I said, working 12 rows in slip stitches in the back loop only. If you want, you can work single crochet stitches as well, or another pattern for the ribbing, depending what you like and how you would like to finish this edging. And now we will join the shoulders. We will start with the right shoulders. You can use the darn needle if you want and simply sew stitch the pieces together, but I will use the crochet hook and trying to recreate in the joining method the mesh stitch pattern. So in this way the shoulders will look nice and will have a continuity, and is not a simply seam, but you can find a way that you like to do it. It's not something that it won't work. You can use slip stitches, single crochet stitches, you prefer if you prefer to use the crochet hook as well. So I will rejoin the yarn into the left side. Well, let's see, it's taking me a time to decide. Okay, so now into the left side, and I will chain 2, 3, and going into the other side first stitch and make a single crochet. Then chain 2, skip 1 stitch from the left side or the bottom side, how they are placed here, and go 1 single crochet into the next. Chain 2, skip 1 stitch from the right side and go with 1 single crochet in next. And we will repeat going like this in zigzag until we will finish the stitches from the shoulder, and then we will continue with the back panels, because we can go across the back panels and join them together, because we need to have them to overlap them. If your working size medium, then your last row will be a mesh stitch pattern, and you will go with the same single crochet stitches in each 4 chain space. And because the distance between the 4 chain space is wider than one stitch that we're skipping, you can chain 3. When going from one side to the other, you can chain 3 instead of 2. So now I finished up shoulder stitches, and this is how is looking our joining. And now we can go further. You can use stitch marker before starting everything. My back panels are overlapping exactly when where I finished the shoulder. But if it's not like this in your case, and your corner of the back panel is a bit to the left, so you have a few stitches until getting to that overlap, you can just go on the back panel with slip stitches, and then when they start to overlap, to just start and working the slip stitches, because we will work and join the 2 back panels with slip stitches, or you can use single crochet stitches. And we will go simply further from the shoulder without cutting the yarn, just going across the back panels, making sure that you're getting with your hook through both sides and working, joining the 2 pieces together. And after finishing joining with the slip stitches the back panels together, we will continue with the other shoulder in the same way as we did with the first one. So from where my hook is, I will chain 3 and go into the first stitch of the right side, or the front panel basically, into the first stitch of the front panel shoulder, and we will work there a single crochet, and then we will start the same pattern, and we will chain 2, skip 1 stitch from the back panel and 1 single crochet, chain 2, skip 1 stitch from the front panel and 1 single crochet, and we will repeat until we will finish all the stitches and shoulders are joined together. And after finishing the shoulder, we can start right over with the first row of the sleeve because we are on the top of the shoulder, and we can continue from there. But either way, we will need to cut the yarn after the first row of the sleeve because we want to start from the armpit, as we will have decreases to make on the sleeves, and we don't want the joining line to be on the exterior of the sleeve. So now let's work the base row, which will be in single crochet. If you remember the edging, we did the same, and because we're working across the rows, we will work the same 3 single crochet stitches if it's double crochet, or 3 chain rows, or 2 single crochet stitches if you feel more like, according with your tension. This is when working across, it is very important which is the difference between your tension, your row tension, how high you're making the stitches, and your width tension, because we're working differently, each of us, so it's better to see how you like the stitches aligned. And one more thing that is important on this row is to make sure that in the end you will have a multiple of 3 stitches, because we will work the mesh stitch row in the pattern of the sleeve, because we will follow the same pattern as for the rest of the blouse, and we will need a multiple of 3 stitches. So if you go after finishing one half of the sleeve or a quarter of the sleeve, count the stitches and make sure that you'll have at the end a multiple of 3 stitches. If you miss that, then don't worry, when we will start working the mesh stitch pattern, you can skip there a few more stitches or less stitches just to complete the pattern. So now that we finished this first single crochet row, as I said, we will cut the yarn because I want to start working on the sleeve at the armpit, because we will work those decreases. And we will start with the first row from the pattern, which will be a double crochet row. Along the sleeve, we will make the decreases only on the double crochet rows, and at some point when working the length, I just calculated the number of stitches that remains after decreases on all sizes, and it matches to decrease up to the end of the sleeve. But if at some point you think that your sleeve is wide enough, so you don't need to decrease again, but you still have a few rows to work on the length, then you can stop increasing and work the rest of the rows as they are within all stitches. How we're making the decrease, because I already did it and talking too much. So chain 3 when starting the row, then work the next 2 double crochet together, then 1 double crochet into each stitch, and the last 2 stitches 2 double crochet together, then join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain. And to keep the same pattern and stitches to look the same as the rest of the blouse, we will work in the round but turning after each row. Now for the next 2 rows, we will in double crochet we will repeat the first row. So again, decrease at the beginning after chaining 3, 2 double crochet together, and at the end of the row 2 double crochet together. Okay, I finished with the 3 rows in double crochet, and now we will start the mesh stitch pattern. We won't decrease on this one, so we will start with 1 single crochet into the first stitch, then chain 4, skip the next 2 stitches, and 1 single crochet into the next. And here is where you can adjust the number of stitches in case you miss that multiple of 3 on the first row, on the base row. So at the end of the row, if you need to make one more loop, one more space, and you don't have 2 stitches to skip, but you have 3 or 2 or 1, then skip those stitches, as many as you have, either if it's 1, 2 or 3, and join with a slip stitch with the first single crochet. In this way you adjusted the number of stitches and you won't have the same issue again when starting another mesh stitch pattern. To start the second row, we will chain 5 and we will go into the first chain space and single crochet, then chain 4 and single crochet into the next 4 chain space. We will finish the row with chain 2 and slip stitch into the third chain, then chain 1, 1 single crochet into the same stitch, chain 4 and 1 single crochet into the last stitch. And after finishing this row, you will repeat one more time the second mesh stitch row to have 4 rows in mesh stitch pattern. And now we will start again after having 4 rows with double crochet rows, and we need to make the decrease. So to make the decrease on the first row in double crochet, we will simply skip the 2 chain space. We will skip the 2 chain space at the beginning and 2 chain space at the end, and for the rest of the spaces we will work 3 double crochet in each 4 chain space. Okay, so here at the end of the row, to make the decrease, we will skip the 2 chain space at the end and slip stitch into the third chain. And now those rows we will have to repeat until we will have the length desired for our sleeve. On the next rows we will decrease at the beginning and at the end only into the double crochet stitches. I worked in total 36 rows or 37 depending on the length. So basically I repeated the pattern 5 times, sorry, and then we will work one more row in double crochet to just finish and adding the sleeve. So to work the last row in double crochet is basically a first row after the last row of mesh stitch pattern, and into the 2 chain space, because I don't want to decrease again, I will work 1 single crochet into the 2 chain space at the beginning and at the end. Again, if along the sleeve you consider that you have the width that you desire, then you stop increasing and just go with a straight sleeve. And you don't have to decrease up to the last row. Now after finishing this double crochet row, I will go with single crochet stitches into each stitch around, and then I will go with slip stitches into the back loop only for another 8 rows, but to have that pattern with the V's that recreates the knitting stitch, you need to go to turn again after each row. So now chain 1 and I will turn and then go with slip stitches into the back loop only into each of the following stitches, and we will repeat this row until your cuff or your sleeve hem is wide enough, or as you wish, wide as you wish, as you need, as you want. I worked in total a bit thinner than the edge on the back panel, so I think there were like 8 rows or 10 rows in total. So we will turn after each row. And when you do the slip stitches, you need to make them into the chain one. Yeah, because we are skipping a stitch, it's better, it's easier this way. It will be useful if you're doing this and you're a beginner to use a stitch marker to mark either the last or the first stitch to know where you need to start the row in which stitch. Okay, so we're done with the sleeves. You need to follow the same pattern for the second one. And now we will work a bit of an edge on the neckline just to have it finish like the rest of the blouse. I will work a single crochet base row as well around, but for the neckline edge I won't work. I will not work too many rows because I don't want to be smaller, and I will work one base row in single crochet stitches and then one more row in slip stitches, and that will be it. So now I rejoin the yarn into the middle back, and I will go with single crochet stitches. When we will work across the shoulders, we will work 3 single crochet stitches into the side row, is that joining actually, and then on the front panel, my camera got off a bit. Okay, so let's just see these shoulders here. So I'm trying to go into the stitches, and again, feel your tension. It's not a rule for it that the side row, into the side rows you need to go with 3 stitches or 2 stitches, or is you can just go with 3 into the chain space, for example, and 2 if it's a double crochet. So as you fill the stitches, you just go for it. And when we are getting into the front panel, because we have the mesh stitch pattern there, we will go with 3 single crochet into each 4 chain space. I'm trying to get into the stitches here. And hide those ends. Okay, so now when the 4 chain spaces start for the front panel, I will go with 3 double crochet into the 4 chain spaces. So 3 single crochet into each 4 chain space. And then to finish the round, you will work the same on the on that joining at the shoulder, and then the back panel stitches, which are simply to work in because we have those slip stitches. And after finishing with the neckline edging, basically the blouse will be done. This was the last step of our blouse. And after that, all you need to do is to weave in all those ends, block, because the mesh stitch tend to be a bit to shrink a bit, but it will look nicer if you're going to block the blouse. And then of course to wear it, give it away or sell it as you wish. And that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you will try to make this blouse. I will let all the links in the description below for the written pattern, and I will wait you next time.